Hi again. Today I'm going to show you how I make my homemade chicken noodle soup with a homemade egg noodle recipe included. You'll notice I have a few little helpers with me today, so this recipe is easy enough that my 5-year-old and 2-year-old can even help. First, you just want to melt a little bit of butter in the bottom of a pot. I'm using my Instapot just because it's easier than using the stove for the little kids. And you're going to go ahead and dump in your onion. Then you're going to add in your carrots as well. And lastly, you're going to add in the celery. So just getting all of our veg in the bottom of the pot with a little bit of butter and then cooking and stirring for about 5 minutes over medium heat. You're just trying to start softening some of those vegetables and get the onion partially cooked. Next, we are going to go ahead and add the chicken. I've cut this into pieces so that they're small enough to eat in our soup, and give it a stir. Then you're ready to add your chicken broth, and we're using a quart of our homemade chicken broth here. And then I like to add about 2 more cups of water. And you're going to want to give it a nice stir, get everything all combined in there. Season your soup with salt and pepper. Salt gives it kind of that extra brothy flavor that you're used to in chicken noodle soup, and use plenty of pepper. I just add some now, and then at the end I will adjust to taste after everything's incorporated. Put the lid on your pot or your Instapot and gently simmer it for about 1 hour. So on the Instapot, you just hit cancel, you hit super broth, and adjust down to 60 minutes. While your soup is simmering, we're going to make the egg noodles. So to make the egg noodles, you want to crack the eggs. You're going to use 2 eggs here. In a large bowl, you're going to combine all of your flour and your salt. So you're going to measure the flour out, add the salt, and mix it together. Whisk your egg to combine the yolk and the whites together well. And then take your bowl of flour mixture and make a well in the center with your hand. You're going to dump your eggs and your milk into this center well. And this allows you to slowly combine the flour into the liquid ingredients versus stirring them. So that's why we use this technique. I like to use a wooden spoon just because making dough, it seems to work best than plastic or metal. So use your wooden spoon and stir until the dough starts to come together into a larger ball. Partway through, you can add your 1 tablespoon of butter and stir that in as well to combine. And we're just feeling here to see if it's ready to knead with our hands yet. Once it starts to come together into a singular piece, go ahead and knead it with your hands for about 5 minutes. After those 5 minutes are done, go ahead and cover it with a kitchen towel and let it stand for 10 minutes. After it's rested, you'll want to roll out your noodles. So dust your surface with flour. I'm using a silicone mat as well just to make it easier to pull off my counter. And dust the top of your dough as well because it's going to be pretty sticky. I have my rolling pin set here with the guides on for 1/8 of an inch, but you could do 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch, however your preferred noodle thickness is, and then just go ahead and roll out the noodle into a flat sheet. Once it's rolled all the way out, you can cut them into the noodles. I do about 1/2 an inch wide, and I find it easiest to use a pizza cutter for this. So that's what I'm using, but you could use a knife or I guess a scissors if you'd like. After your noodles are cut to length, you can then trim them down to the size of the noodle you want. Then you want to separate the noodles from each other because they'll kind of be stuck together. And you can use a little bit of flour dusting just to help keep them separate and make they don't stick together. So here I'm just pulling them apart and putting them in a bowl, and I'm dusting with flour just a small amount to coat the noodles so that they can maintain their singularity. And here I'm just shaking the flour on. Once you've got them all separated, go ahead and put them on a cookie sheet or a flat surface, and you'll want them to be in a single layer and to dry for about 15 minutes. If you're going to keep these for later, because I usually make a double batch, you can freeze them as well on the cookie sheet and then put them in a freezer bag and save them for the next time. Add your noodles in during the last 5 minutes of your cook time in the pot. This will cook the noodles and your soup will be ready to go. Just adjust for salt and pepper the way that you like it and enjoy this warm bowl of soup. Thanks again for joining me, and see you next time.